collaboration with the Cyprus Mail. This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
Coming up on the programme this week, the deadline to register for voting in December's municipal elections is looming.
For their application, they should bring their application forms until 3rd of October.
Nicosia marks World Tourism Day with free entry to museums and guided tours of the city.
Not a lot of people know about the history of the walls or how many bastions you can find in Nicosia, or a hidden tomb, for example, outside the Phaneromeni church, and all those little things that make the city much more interesting.
You can become a Twitcher for a day at Euro Birdwatch 16.
So every year, thousands of people go out and they watch the fascinating wonder of bird migration.
And Startups for Peace encourage intercommunal entrepreneurship.
We are looking for those kinds of startups which already as a team is bicommunal or has as its activities is intercommunal. So these kinds of activities we think we would very much like to support.
The Finnish embassy in Nicosia has been organising since the end of last year a series of events called Startups for Peace. They have just selected the winners who will be travelling to Finland for a big event later this year. Joining us on the programme is His Excellency the Finnish Ambassador to Nicosia, Timo Haino. And he's going to tell us, I hope, all about it. So how were your feelings about the 8 finalists that you've just finally narrowed down to 3 winners making a trip to Finland?
Well, I'm still quite fresh here in Cyprus, so this is one of my first events here, and it was so nice to meet the kind Cypriot people here and see what they are doing. And startups it's of course a new thing also in Finland, but we have already some experience, and we hope that we can contribute with our know-how so that we can help them to develop their businesses, and not only businesses but also this cooperation, which is intercommunal.
That was the real point, I suppose, of this event in Cyprus, and that was that it did need to be bicommunal in nature. So you're bringing people together from both sides of the divide. Tell us a little bit about the winning ideas.
Well, this is exactly the idea. So we are looking for those kinds of startups which already as a team is bicommunal or has as its activities is intercommunal. So these kinds of activities we think we would very much like to support. We have very good assistance from the both chambers of commerce here on the island.
The event that's taking place in Finland, they'll be competing against what? Other European startups or just Finnish startups?
It's not really a competition back in Finland, but it's a huge kind of fair. I mean, it's one of the biggest in Europe, and there are all kinds of companies, startups coming there to present their ideas and to find investors. And there's lots of investors coming from all over the world, China, Japan, United States, etc.
So they may find their business angels.
Exactly,
there.
That is the idea, that they might find business angels, money, or then partners who are useful when they try to develop their businesses.
And what about next year? Will the embassy here continue with this initiative?
Yes, we have just started, and we are. It's actually a startup itself. So we want to continue it, and we want to expand and perhaps change the concept a little bit and arrange workshops on these kinds of things. So this is what we want to do, because we think that it might be helpful in terms of political development here, and also in terms of business development. We hope at least we can contribute.
And I presume that if people want to find out more, there are details on the embassy website.
Yes, there is more about that, and we hope we get a good network of startups here, so that we can work with as many as possible. So this is what we hope to do in the coming years.
And that's the Finnish ambassador to Nicosia, Timo Haino, who was talking about the Startups for Peace, which has just found its winners for 2016.
Get in touch with the Cyprus News Digest by emailing cyprusnewsdigest@gmail.com.
In collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
The biggest achievement of Crime Stoppers has been the ability of the public to be able to give information about crime anonymously.
There's no way I could have kept prostituting without the drugs. There's no way I could have had my body used like a public toilet, because that's actually what prostitution is.
And then the fourth series I started 3 days after I'd won the Oscar, so the whole of the Monarch of the Glen experience was all interplatted with the Gosford Park Oscar experience.
I was working with Ronnie James Dio, and David was going to reform Whitesnake in 2003.
Cyprus was chosen because Cyprus is a stable, peaceful and secure place.
We have to really look closely. What are we doing with children? What are we doing with adolescents? And what are we doing with adults that can help them move into a more literate situation?
The ones that I'm proudest of are the ones that were true discoveries, where we found something we didn't know existed.
We're coming up to Euro Birdwatch 16. It's the time of year when millions of migratory birds leave Europe, flying to their wintering places in Africa. Here in Cyprus, we are ideally placed to see the thousands of birds as they pass over the island. Joining us to tell us about some events being organised by BirdLife Cyprus to mark the day is Elena Markitani. Elena, everybody actually does take part in this now, don't they? So many people who for years ignored the flyover of all these birds, now actually, because of the work BirdLife Cyprus has been doing, do go out there and do learn a bit more about some of the birds. So tell us what they'll expect to see, and then we'll go into the different events that you've got going on.
BirdLife Cyprus every year is organizing Euro Birdwatch, which is an annual event that is taking place in both Europe and Central Asia, organized by our BirdLife International, which we are the national partner here in Cyprus. So every year, thousands of people go out and they watch the fascinating wonder of bird migration. So we're lucky here in Cyprus because Cyprus lies on one of the major migration routes from Europe towards Africa and then back. So every year, every autumn, around 150 million birds pass from Cyprus. So on Sunday, the 2nd of October, we're inviting people to join us on 3 different locations here in Cyprus to learn more about birds, their needs, especially in their wintering places, along their migration routes, and in their breeding places. What needs do they have, and why it's important to provide safe conditions for them along the migration routes, on the breeding sites and the wintering sites.
We are actually on one of the major flyways, and I know there was a move a couple of years ago to ensure safe flyways for migrating birds. How well has that worked?
It's an ongoing process, really. I mean, birds face many kinds of threats. Either those are man-made, like land use changes, or even climatic changes, or even in Cyprus, one of the biggest problems is the illegal bird trapping practice. So
and the hunting.
And the hunting as well. So it's really an ongoing process to combat these threats.
Now, what sort of birds will people who join the events be likely to see?
Okay, so depending on the location, so for Akrodiri and Paphos Plain, 2 of the 3 locations, people can expect to see raptors, such as, for example, at Akrodiri, you may expect to see honey buzzards or different other kinds of species of buzzards and harriers, or cranes, for example. In Athalassa, one may expect to see different heron species or wildfowl, like various shovelers or pintails or widgeons that come to winter here in Cyprus, in our wetlands. So depending on the location.
So they have different routes then. Some of them are a bit further west, some of them are a bit further east.
Yes, but they usually follow the coastline. So on Akrodiri, for example, and Bafos Plain, those are migration hotspots. So especially for raptors as well, you can see many raptors passing through the area during this time of season.
And of course we do, as you say, have birds that winter here. Particularly famous are the flamingos that come to Larnaca.
Yes.
When are they going to arrive?
Some of them are already passing from Cyprus, but I would guess, if I remember from last year, the majority of flamingo came around December and January, when there was a lot of cold conditions in Europe, so more of them moved even south.
Now, for people who are not usually bird watchers, they don't have the gear, but I understand that at these 3 events that you're organising, binoculars and telescopes and indeed guides as to what people are seeing will be provided.
Yes, correct. The BirdLife Cyprus will provide binoculars, telescopes and bird guides. The events are open to all people of all ages, so we'll be happy to be there and talk to people and show them.
And the idea, I think, is as well not just to see the birds, but to count them.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Tell us a little bit about the science behind this. What do you do with the numbers after you've got them? And if they're way up there, how do you count them?
So it's basically observation of the different kind of species we'll be seeing at that particular site. So we'll be just taking notes. We may see 10 herons in that site, so we'll write that down. And at the end of the day, we will be adding up those numbers on these 3 different sites, and these will be reported to the coordinating center in Europe. So all sightings will be added to the Euro Birdwatch total to help increase the number of birds and species seen at the European level.
And that presumably will again help with these flyways to know where there's a problem, where things need to be done. So let's go back over the meeting places. In Nicosia, I believe it's at Athalassa Park,
Correct.
Starting at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And can we give out the mobile numbers of the people to meet, or is it better to go to birdlifecyprus.org?
All information is on our website, on birdlifecyprus.org, or on our Facebook page as well. If you look up BirdLife Cyprus, you'll see the event with all the details and the meeting points.
Okay, so that's Athalassa Park in Nicosia at 9:30 till 12. Then the Akrotiri Peninsula in the Limassol area, 9 until 12. And Paphos Plain in Paphos, again 9 until 12. All happening on October the 2nd this year. That's Euro Birdwatch 16. We've been talking from BirdLife Cyprus to Elena Markitani.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
September the 27th is World Tourism Day. Very important for a place like Cyprus where we rely so much on tourism as part of our GDP. Nicosia perhaps isn't often considered as a tourist destination because a lot of people, of course, go for the coastal resorts. But we do have our own tourism board in the capital, and from there Antigone Iraklidou is going to tell us what's coming up to mark the day. We should say that it's going to be happening tomorrow, Saturday, September the 24th, which is probably a good day for people who don't know so much about tourism in Nicosia and our places of interest to get out there and find out more. And Antigone, it isn't actually the hub when it comes to Cyprus tourism, but Nicosia has a lot to offer, doesn't it?
Exactly. And Nicosia might not be famous for its beaches or its coastal area, but Nicosia, it is famous for its culture and its rich civilization, and it has many things to show culture-wise. And this is what we celebrate tomorrow, the 24th, and we organize a series of events to show people, tourists and Nicosians, the richness of our museums and the beauties and hidden secrets of our city.
Do tell us about the hidden secrets, because
Yes.
the trouble is that when you live in a place, you very often miss out on things that you just take for granted.
Exactly. Not a lot of people know about the history of the walls, or how many bastions you can find in Nicosia, or a hidden tomb, for example, outside the Phaneromeni church, and all those little things that make the city much more interesting than what we think. So on the 24th, everyone will have the opportunity to take a tour around the city. We offer 3 different tours, 2 walking ones and a bus and walking tour combined. The first one will take you around the neighborhoods of Ermou, Taktakalas and Chrysalinotissa, which are famous for their medieval history mostly. And for example, Ermou has been recently renovated and has all those little places that make the area much more charming. And our second tour is within the old city, inside the walls. And the walking and bus tour takes you from the English School and the Presidential Palace area up to Kaimakli, where you can visit a weaving workshop. And it's very important because you travel through the city and you discover its colonial past, and you go up to these little houses in Kaimakli, which are famous for their craft makers. And we also have guided minibus tours, starting from the Nicosia Multicultural Municipal Center, which is near Famagusta Gate. There will be buses, 2 buses, picking up people and dropping them off at the city's museums. 12 museums participate in these events, and there will be free entry to all of them, and 3 organized tours at 10:30, 12:30 and 3 o'clock. But we should say that even if you miss the organized tour, you can hop on one of those little buses and go around the museum and stop at any museum you like. The entrance is free. You can show yourself around and admire their treasures.
12 museums?
12 museums,
we all know
yes.
about the Cyprus Museum, and I know there are 1 or 2 others, but can you list all the 12
Yeah,
of them?
of course. We have the Cyprus Archaeological Museum, of course, the Pancyprian Gymnasium Museums, Lucia and Michael Zambella's Art Museum in Kaimakli, the Leventis Municipal Museum, the Cyprus Folk Art Museum, the Byzantine Museum, the Center of Visual Arts and Research, the Nefeli and Jabra Geridis Museum, which is near Phaneromeni, the Nicosia Municipal Arts Center, the A.G. Leventis Gallery, the National Struggle Museum, and the Cyprus Classic Motorcycle Museum.
Wow, so there is a lot, and they're all rather different, aren't they? Because apart from the Archaeological Museum, which I think is very well known because it has all the treasures that have been found in archaeological sites, some of the others actually, if I remember correctly, show you the way life used to be here.
Exactly. And for example, you can visit the Cyprus Folk Art Museum to see how people lived in the past, their traditions, their customs, what kind of jobs they used to do, their craft making. Or you can visit the Leventis Municipal Museum to see what Nicosia looked like from the ancient times until today. Or if you're an art lover, you can go to Zambella's Museum or to the A.G. Leventis Gallery and admire all those treasures, all those famous paintings and artworks, yes. So there are museums for everybody's taste, and I think it would be a good opportunity to visit a couple.
Are you doing this in conjunction with the Cyprus Tourist Organisation? Because throughout the year they certainly used to do similar bus and walking tours around certain areas of the city.
Yeah, exactly. Nicosia Tourism Board, anyway, is affiliated to the Cyprus Tourism Organisation, and we get funding from the organisation and support. So, of course, it's in conjunction with them.
So when they're guided tours, they're official tourist guides telling you all the things you need to know, because I think that's the problem sometimes. If you go on your own, you can't always find the information you want about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I agree. And we have licensed a tourist guide with us tomorrow to show us and tell us all those things that we don't know or we miss.
And most of them are multilingual, I think.
Of course, and I should say that all the tours will be bilingual tomorrow, both in Greek and English. I should add, if I may, that we also have a special tour tomorrow at the AG Leventis Gallery at 4 o'clock for children and people with disabilities. And it's part of our effort to promote universal accessibility, and we encourage all those people who didn't have the opportunity to visit the Leventis Gallery to come at 4 o'clock tomorrow and have a tour.
And you mentioned the Nicosia Multi-Purpose Centre. It's actually, I think, going to be open most of the day with a couple of special events going on.
Exactly, because there is going to be our starting point for all the buses. We're going to have with us the Cyprus Handicraft Centre and some craft makers there showing us traditional crafts.
Like?
Weaving or silversmithing or things that make with wood and other objects. And we also have the City Market Fair with us with handmade products, food, drinks and music. So it will be nice to visit the centre as well.
Okay, it's a little bit of a panairi then, the Nicosia Municipal Multi-Purpose Centre. But then all of this is obviously online, so tell us where people can find out more.
Yeah, they can find more on our Facebook page, that's Visit Nicosia, or our webpage www.visitnicosia.com.cy, or they can call us at 22889600, and we are more than delighted to share any information they would like to know.
Your chance to get to know Nicosia the way you perhaps had no idea it really was. That's Antigone Iraglidou from the Nicosia Tourism Board telling us all about the events taking place tomorrow, that's Saturday, September the 24th, to mark World Tourism Day, which is, of course, on September the 27th.
You can subscribe to the Cyprus News Digest on iTunes for free and get the program downloaded to your phone or tablet so you can listen anytime, anywhere.
December the 18th, just before Christmas, we'll all be going to vote. It's the municipal elections in Cyprus, and anyone who's over 18 years old on election day, whether they are EU citizens or Cypriots, is eligible to vote. But you need to be registered. We've come to the Ministry of the Interior and their election services to find out how you go about doing that. Joining us is Dimitris Dimitriou. Dimitris, so what exactly is required of people to get on the list for the municipal elections?
Cypriot citizens and also citizens of other EU countries who are living in Cyprus should fill a form and bring this form to the district officer or citizen service center with their photo. And if we speak for citizens of other EU countries, they should present their ID card, if they have ID card of the Republic, or their ID card or passport of their country, or MEU1.
That's the yellow slip?
Yes, which is the form they register in Cyprus as citizens of another EU country.
So they take all of those things to the Citizen Service Centre, and how long does it take to get their voting book?
They will get their voting books about the end of October.
Okay, but we must emphasise that the 3rd of October is the deadline for putting in your application.
For their application, they should bring their application forms until 3rd of October.
Right, now this is for the municipal elections, but if they also, while they're there, want to register for upcoming European elections, then they could do that at the same time, but it's a different form, is that right?
Yes, it's a different form for EU elections because they have the right to vote for their MPs, their country's MPs, or the MPs of the country they have their residence.
So they can vote for Cypriot MEPs?
If they like to vote for Cyprus MPs.
Instead of their home country?
Yes.
Okay, but we should emphasise that they're not still allowed to vote in presidential or parliamentary elections for Cyprus?
Yes. For our national elections, we give this opportunity only to Cypriots.
And the other thing that's interesting is, and we have, I think, one or maybe two, is that European citizens who have the right to vote in the municipal elections also have the right to stand in the municipal elections for municipal councils or even mayors, I suppose.
Now, they have the right to stand only as members of the councils. They couldn't stand for the mayor or the president of a community.
Okay, but they can stand to be on the council that does the decision-making for their community.
Yes.
And how do they go about doing that? I presume that's a separate type of application.
Yes. They should apply to the district officers on 17th of November, if we speak for a municipality, or in 21st of November if we speak for a community.
But before those dates, they don't have to go on the date, or do they?
On that exactly date.
So there is a specific time and place to go and say, I wish to stand?
Yes, they should bring the application form, which should be signed by two electors of the community or municipality that they propose this person to be a councillor and pay 100 euro as a fee to be
put on the electoral list.
Yes.
Are these details available online in other than the Greek language for EU citizens?
At this time are available only in Greek.
So they need to really go to the district office and maybe find out before the dates when the dates are and exactly what's required if they wish to stand.
Yes.
Otherwise, when it comes back to the voting issue, a reminder once again, October the 3rd is the deadline for you to put in your application to get your voting book. But that form, I think, is available online.
Yes, and is available in both languages, Greek and English.
So it's a question of going, I presume, to the Ministry of the Interior's website, and they can download it from there?
Yes. It's, this form is available at the district officers, the Citizens Service Centre, and is available on the website of the Ministry of Interior.
So now you have it. If you want to cast your vote on December the 18th in Cyprus' upcoming municipal elections, you know exactly what to do. That was Dimitris Dimitriou from the Ministry of the Interior's Election Services. Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.